Welcome back to Day 3 of the Mineral Resources Review 2025 here at the Delta Hotel. Today's Thought Leadership is sponsored by WSP and powered by Gale Force Winds. So I have the pleasure to have a conversation with Amanda McCallum. Amanda is the Executive Director with Mining NL, a very important role at a very important conference this week. So Amanda, introduce yourself. I think you're no stranger to the mining world, but introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your week.
Sure, thanks Jackie. Pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to be speaking with Gale Force Winds. So I'm Amanda McCallum. I'm the Executive Director with Mining Industry NL. Mining NL is a membership-driven, not-for-profit organization. We represent industry. We're the voice of industry in the province. We were first established in 1994, and we really support the full value chain in the industry, from the prospecting community to the explorers, the developers, the operators and producers, as well as the service and supply sector. It's a big industry, and we're involved with covering that whole ecosystem.
And it really is, right? And right now, you know, I read one of your articles, and you know, our GDP is up this year from last year.
We have had an increase. We are the second largest contributor to the provincial GDP in Newfoundland and Labrador at 9.3%. Second behind oil extraction, which is about 15.4%. And then third comes in construction. But when you look at the natural resources sector, the extractive resources sector in Newfoundland and Labrador, when you look at oil extraction and mining combined, it's about 25% of provincial GDP from a goods produced lens. And then when you add in construction, where when I speak with the Construction Association, you know, most of their projects are resource-based construction work. And then in addition, it might be like government infrastructure spending, but combined like 33%. So you know, more than a third of a contributor to GDP really comes from the extractive resources sector.
Absolutely.
I think that's noteworthy for people, you know, listening.
I know when I read it, it really stood out for me. Of course, I come from a mining background, so I know how relevant and important mining is, and you know, all across the province. You know, it was always very heavy in Labrador, and of course it still is. You know, but the island part of the province now, of course, with all the gold development and exploration. So talk a little bit about that, Amanda, because I know there was a lot of money spent this year as well in exploration.
There has. So when you look on the kind of the front end of the value chain, so one of the things I often say is value creation starts at the beginning of the cycle. It starts with exploration. So if you want to grow a sector, you grow it on the front end. And exploration expenditures in this province over the past 4 to 5 years have been tremendous. So inclusive of 2025, we've seen about, back to 2021, we've seen $1.168 billion of money invested in exploration. So on average over the past 4 years, over about $230 million. This year alone, $258 million.
That's not a small number, Amanda.
Not at all. It's significant. And exploration expenditures also sort of drive spin-off economic activity. And this is noteworthy. This is happening in rural Newfoundland and Labrador. And generally, you'll apply a multiplier of about 7% to exploration figures. So it's almost like its own subsector onto itself. And for exploration, we would like to be able to continue to see this sort of exploration expenditures continue in the province. And in order to do that, you know, we need to continue to see land being made available for exploration. And we have had some challenges over the past year and with competition for land. But certainly land accessibility is a requirement. It's a necessary necessary ingredient for exploration to continue in this province.
And I don't think people realize how much goes into exploration, because you don't often hear about the companies, that are doing that. You tell of the bigger tier 1 companies and the producers and whatnot. So, and I know I've heard you talk about this now multiple times, so it's really good that you're getting that message out and,
In Newfoundland and Labrador, we've consistently ranked for the last several years on an annual mining survey, which is conducted by the Fraser Institute. So for 2024, we ranked in the top 10. I gave a talk earlier, and I've said, and I repeat myself, that's not just the top 10 in Canada. That's not the top 10 in North America. That's the top 10 in the world. Wow. We have ranked for investment attractiveness, number 8th, in an 8th position globally. And
no small number,
that's huge, and absolutely, and in terms of public perception, we ranked 6th. And we're from our overall investment attractiveness, we're second in Canada to Saskatchewan. Wow. So we really need to be looking at, again, how do we continue to enable and foster the right conditions so exploration activity can continue. To be quite simple, you don't discover without exploration.
So you can't produce
if we don't explore first. And the caveat being, it doesn't mean that all exploration projects are going to be economically viable mining projects. So I want to be clear on that. But at the same time, if we don't explore, there's no possibility for discovery or potential development. Yeah. So that's a big part of ensuring that we keep that healthy pipeline moving in the industry. We're seeing, investment. This is foreign direct investment coming into the province. So this is new money. So when I talk about that, $1.168 billion, that collectively from about 2021 to 2025, that's new money. That's foreign direct investment into the province. So it's not recycled money, which is already in the ecosystem. So again, really significant contributor to economic and social fabric of the province.
Absolutely. So Amanda, I know that Mining NL hosted a roundtable earlier this week. Did you want to talk just a little bit about that roundtable and, if it met your expectations?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking about that. We did. We on Tuesday of this week, we brought together about 45 different stakeholders from across industry. Again, throughout the whole ecosystem, throughout the mining sector, from the prospecting community, exploration companies, developers, as well as operators and producers in the province. This was participated by senior executives, senior leaders in industry. We also brought together senior government officials. Minister Parrott joined us for the first session. It was a day session. We touched on 3 kind of broad themes, everything from some of the challenges, but yet also the opportunities here in the province and what we need to do to continue to be able to drive investment and to keep that pipeline flowing in the province. We looked at investment attractiveness, promotions. We looked at the regulatory framework, some of the concerns with land accessibility, as well as workforce development. When you look at developing projects, in particular on the Bayvert Peninsula, like Firefly with its copper project, in Labrador West, Tapora wanting to expand, Canny project wanting to develop. There's key sort of ingredients required there. In particular, Labrador West needs power.
Yes.
Power is a prerequisite to be able to, whether it's to decarbonize, to expand, to further develop industrial development projects. We need power. Industry needs power. So that was one of the items to be discussed. And then just the Labrador West, again, significant economic corridor in the province. Same thing on the north coast with Vale's Voisey's Bay operations, the Bayvert Peninsula. We just recently in Q4 saw the Valentine Lake Gold Project just pour its first gold. The very first greenfield project that was commissioned, moved into operation in Atlantic Canada in over 15 years.
Wow.
And I'll just qualify, by greenfield, that's a new discovery. That's meaning a new find to a mine. They're quite rare at this point in time. A lot of active exploration and advanced stage development projects are happening around areas where we know there's been historic, mineral deposits or potential, or there's been old mines. So, but we're not seeing a lot of greenfield discovery. So I kind of got to distinguish between the two for the viewers. But again, the first greenfield project to be
very exciting.
Yeah, to come into production in Atlantic Canada in 15 years is really quite special.
It is.
And to tie things back to the roundtable, I think one of the messages that came out of those discussions is that we collectively as an industry, we need to do a better job with sharing these celebrations and discussing this.
Absolutely.
And kind of shout a little louder, I think, was one of the messages that somebody shared. And we're very appreciative that Minister Parrott joined us for those discussions. And he has committed, he said it publicly here in his address at the conference yesterday morning, but they're committed to putting together and striking a working committee to be able to continue this discussion and this collaboration between industry and government. This is very positive. The discussions were positive, and really pleased with just being able to pull together and to collaborate. So very optimistic about the future.
So what is the next steps from that roundtable? Would it be this working committee, do you think?
We'll put together a working committee for us with Mining NL. We also plan to continue to bring together stakeholders and to continue the discussion. So that might mean smaller breakout groups where we would just bring together stakeholders just to discuss exploration, just to discuss workforce sustainability, just to discuss whether it's permitting or the regulatory framework. So this is not the end. This is the beginning of continued dialogue and collaboration. That was a key for us. And Mining NL also has received funding from the provincial government to look at a labor market strategy for the mining sector in the province. So this roundtable was also sort of that first step.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the sessions directly focused on that. So we'll continue.
So we're going to see a lot more from Mining NL as we move into the new year, I'm sure.
That is the vision, and we're a small team, but we've been recently scaling up and hiring some positions. So once we hope to be able to continue to scale so we can better support industry growth in the province. So.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Amanda, always appreciate your input, your insight. I love to read your posts and things like that because you always put it front and center, and I think remind people the value of mining right from the exploration right to the finished product and everything in between. So you do a really good job of promoting our province on that. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words. And I think we just collectively need to. We have such tremendous assets here in this province. And we need to lean in and be proud of that and amplify that messaging.
Absolutely.
And to make people aware of these are, in terms of the workforce, there's 8,600 people directly employed by industry in rural places, in rural communities.
Yes.
In rural pockets in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I don't think, again, we speak to that enough. And these people are doing important work from all different career paths and journeys where we're creating the products which we need to, everything from defense to technology to innovation. None of these are possible without having the stuff which is used to make them.
Absolutely.
And I think that the fact that this province currently mines 11 different commodities is a testament to the mineral potential that we have here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Absolutely. So any final words, Amanda, before we conclude?
Just that I think this province is on a very positive trajectory, and we want to continue to support and accelerate that growth of the mineral resources sector in the province. And Mining NL's just recently launched, effectively today, I publicly announced a new outreach and education program. It's called Mining Bright Futures. So if folks are interested, industry, the public schools, reach out to us. We're happy to share details about that program.
Wonderful. Because we need to educate the up-and-coming generation as to opportunities within the mining
Absolutely.
industry.
We want people, and we would like for people in Newfoundland and Labrador to be able to directly benefit from these natural assets which exist here in the province. So that's a big part of that messaging, and looking forward to kind of roll out those programs.
Well, we look forward to hearing about them and watching them as they unfold. So folks, thank you. This is Amanda McCallum with Mining NL. You certainly follow Amanda and her team on all social media and website if you want to stay on top of what's happening within the mining industry. So once again, thank you, Amanda. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jackie.